Now, it is a packed day too for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Bangladesh. The Indian Prime Minister started the day with a visit to the Jeshoreshwari Temple. Prime Minister Modi's visit to the Kali Temple is the first of its kind by a head of state. The temple has been renovated ahead of Indian Prime Minister's visit.
मां काली का वरदहस्त आज मानव जात जिस कोरोना के कारण अनेक संकटों से गुजर रही है, मां से यही प्रार्थना है कि पूरी मानव जात को इस कोरोना के संकट से जल्द मुक्ति दिलाएं।
Now, Prime Minister Modi will also visit Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's memorial in Tangipara, also known as the Banga Bandhu Memorial. This is where Bangladesh's first leader, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, is buried. He will also pay respects to Harichan Thakur at his shrine in Norakande. Alongside participating in the centenary celebrations, Prime Minister Modi is also set to hold bilateral consultations with his Bangladesh counterpart. Multiple memorandum of understandings are expected to be signed. Prime Minister Modi will also meet Bangladesh President Abdul Hamid during this visit. As the Indian Prime Minister continues with this visit, WION, of course, will be tracking all the live updates from ground, so do stay tuned for our comprehensive coverage on his visit to Dhaka. And for more on this, we are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal from Dhaka. Also, we are going to be joined by Prime Minister's Bangladesh, live from G. Parthasarathi, former High Commissioner and former Information Advisor at Prime Minister's Office. Thank you both for joining us. Siddhant, first coming to you, what can you tell us about the plans for the rest of the day now? He has already visited the Jeshoreshwari Temple.
Well, yes, the first event of the day is over. We saw the Indian Prime Minister making a big announcement saying that a multi-purpose hall will be constructed by the Indian government for the pilgrims who will be coming to that temple. That temple is a Shakti Pit. In fact, he also did puja there, and a mukut was given. We saw the visuals. It is a gold-plated mukut which the Indian Prime Minister gave. But largely now the focus will be on honoring the father of the nation of Bangladesh. He will be going to Tangipura. In fact, just a short while from now, we will get the live visuals, first visuals. And we know that Bangladesh is celebrating Mujib Barsho. That is why there are a lot of celebrations while there are the 50th independence anniversary celebrations. Mujib Barsho forms a crucial component of it. In fact, the Indian government has announced the Gandhi Peace Prize for the father of the nation of Bangladesh. And yesterday it was physically handed over by the Indian Prime Minister to the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, and her sister, Sheikh Rehana.
Yes.
And that one picture is dominating the print media today morning. Every newspaper has that one picture. But of course, the focus here in Dhaka in the afternoon will be on the talks that will further lay the roadmap of how both sides will go forward, but also on many things, including connectivity being the focus area, the practical cooperation between Delhi and Dhaka on how to make sure that this region has good connectivity, and India's northeast gets the connectivity through the Bangladeshi ports like the Mongla port.
Yes, also now, like you mentioned, Siddhant, the Prime Minister is headed for the Banga Bandhu Mausoleum. We can see the visuals on our screens. These are live visuals coming in from Bangladesh. He has been joined by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina here. Back to you, Siddhant. I believe now they're going to proceed with the wreath-laying ceremony. We can see the visuals on our screens. These are live visuals coming in from Dhaka.
Well, in fact, when the Indian Prime Minister arrived yesterday, when he arrived at the Dhaka airport, he was honored by the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, who herself was present to receive him. That's the highest level of protocol. Immediately after that development, he straight went to the Martyrs Memorial and honored the people who sacrificed their lives for the cause of the liberation of Bangladesh. So a lot of symbolism, and this one picture you're getting on your screen is also about that symbolism, a symbolism of how India is honoring Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and also honoring the Mukti Jodhas, the people of Bangladesh. Yesterday, we know the emotional scenes at that celebration ceremony, the Indian Prime Minister talking about the role the Indian Army played, the significant role the Indian Army played, in fact, naming the officers who were responsible in making sure that Bangladesh gets liberation. And also the Bangladeshi Prime Minister mentioned about the role played by the Indian Army, also the role played by the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, honoring her, giving the personal story about her, other details as well. So largely this visit is very heavy on symbolism, focusing on how to highlight the shared common things both countries have. We know that India describes its relationship with many countries on strategic terms, saying that we are strategic partners, but with Bangladesh, perhaps it's the only country that we describe the relationship using a language which is common to both Bangladesh and India, especially in the Indian state of West Bengal, calling it Shonali Adhyay, using a Bangla word, the golden age of this relationship. In fact, these visuals tell us the golden age of this relationship, a relationship that has gone very far, and that relationship that will see the momentum continue because of the concerted effort being made by both the Indian government and the Bangladeshi government on every domain that is possible, whether it's connectivity, climate, entrepreneurship. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister yesterday made a big announcement saying that the Indian government is going to invite 50 Bangladeshi entrepreneurs to India, 50 given the fact that India and Bangladesh are also celebrating the 50 years of diplomatic relationship. India was the first country to recognize Bangladesh.
All right, Siddhant, just stay with us. Let's just go across to our guest, G. Parthasarathy. Mr. G. Parthasarathy, former High Commissioner and former Information Advisor at Prime Minister's office. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Now, the Prime Minister has a packed day ahead. And after the grand welcome yesterday, today is the day that he will hold talks with the Prime Minister and the President. He is right now at Bangabandhu Mausoleum. He was earlier at the Jeshoreshwari Temple. What can you tell us about the significance of this?
Well, it's very, very interesting. PM, our Prime Minister, has now gone to what is a very old and respected temple in Bangladesh of Bengal, of the people of Bengal, or what was earlier United Bengal, Bengali speaking. And it is the goddess Kali which is worshipped there. And likewise, every time Sheikh Hasina comes to India, she visits the Sufi shrine in Amritsar, not in Rajasthan, pretty close to Delhi. So there is this syncretic religious ties wherein each person has shrines in the other country, and they were visited. And Sheikh Hasina's visit has been pretty prominent in India, and therefore into Ajmer, and therefore these are very important symbols for people at large. And so the symbolic part is now getting over, and I think we should now look forward to the talks this afternoon, which I'm certain will be substantive, because there is so much more we can do by way of cooperating economically. Bangladesh provides us one more access to the Bay of Bengal, and it is one neighbor with whom we have settled all border issues, the land border and the maritime boundary, a border where in fact about 2 years or 3 years ago we handed over one island which was in our possession when we went to the International Court, and it ruled in Bangladesh's favor. So that in terms of territory, in terms of the will to cooperate, it's huge. I think we'll now be looking at greater cooperation, if we can involve it in the security issues with which we are discussing with its neighbors, mainly Myanmar and Indonesia, not to speak of Thailand. These are all ASEAN countries. So I think the BIMSTEC organization, the regional organization, brings together members of the eastern side of the subcontinent with Thailand and Myanmar. So there is institutional economic cooperation going across SAARC and ASEAN that will come up, especially that as now we are becoming much closer in cooperation with the ASEAN countries. With regard to developments in Myanmar, both Bangladesh and India have voted similarly in the UN. So there is this synchronism, and I think we can take it forward, because this visit, the symbolism is now being set this afternoon to be converted into hard, tangible results on the ground.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Also, there are some pacts, various pacts that are to be signed. What can we expect on that front? There's also going to be the issue of incentivizing startups. So what can we expect on that front?
I think the pacts will be the usual on tourism, travel, and so on and so forth. Facilities, some projects perhaps, but in other areas of cooperation, I think there is going to be a huge amount, and there will be bilateral agreements.
All right, sir. And the Prime Minister will also be meeting the members of the Matua community. What can you tell us about the significance of that interaction?
This is precisely what I referred to earlier. Before partition, Bengal was one state. For people from Bengal, the Kali Mata temples are very important spiritually, and therefore visiting the shrine in Bangladesh is of immense importance, because pilgrims from India can now go and visit these shrines, which they have not done for many years. And that, in terms of a sort of spiritual link, just as Sheikh Hasina shows when she visits the Ajmer Sharif Sufi shrine, it is a thing which unites us, respecting all religions and transcending religion.
All right, sir, I'm going to request you to just stay with us. We'll just go across to Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, what is the latest on ground? Siddhant, can you hear me?
Well, on the grounds, we have seen the visuals coming, the entire, I can hear you, the visuals coming from Tangipura. Right now, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at the mausoleum of the father of the nation of Bangladesh. Both the leaders, the Indian Prime Minister and the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, present at the mausoleum. This is really significant because, remember, Sheikh Hasina, the daughter of the father of the nation of Bangladesh, honoring her father alongside the Prime Minister of the largest democracy. Even if they do not say anything, the pictures say a lot. Pictures say how the Indian side and the Bangladeshi side have been working together to make sure to have a stable, peaceful region, working towards a lot of areas of cooperation. As we were talking about connectivity, startups, as you just pointed out, there is trade, there is climate change. In fact, there is not any domain where India and Bangladesh are not working. And this entire visit, the 2-day visit, a packed schedule, is all about celebration of that relationship. The last visit that happened in 2015 saw the famous land boundary agreement being given a final go-ahead. And that was a significant thing in the relationship. This was stuck since 1970s and finally got a go-ahead in 2015. So you can understand how significant that pact was. And this time around, the focus is on celebration of the various anniversaries we have been talking about, whether it's the independence anniversary, whether it's the diplomatic relationship, the liberation war, the India-Pakistan war. So several anniversaries coming together, and that is why this significance cannot in fact be described in words. We know that yesterday the Indian Prime Minister was present on the 50th anniversary event, and whatever he spoke is something that will be recorded in history forever, because he not only lauded the role of the Indian forces, but also in a sense gave a entire invocation of the history on how the foundation of India-Bangladesh relationship has been based on the 1971 war of liberation. And maybe perhaps 50 years from now, when Bangladesh will celebrate its 100th anniversary, this thing, whatever happened yesterday and whatever is happening right now, will be recalled, because again, I do believe that 50 years from now, the Shonali Adhyay will continue.
All right.
And perhaps again they will be calling the Indian leadership that time in future. But largely this is about celebration of the relationship. The visuals you see on the screens coming from the mausoleum of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is all about sending a message not only to the region but to the world that this relationship is a model relationship.
All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. We will, of course, continue to track this and we will come back to you. Moving across to Mr. G. Parthasarathi. Sir, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, a special focus is going to be on India and Bangladesh's evolving relationships in a post-pandemic world. How do you assess that?
Well, as I see it, they are looking far ahead, because this pandemic in its present form can be dealt with. But there is going to be a fallout which will last, like all pandemics, for years if not decades. And therefore you have to look way ahead to the sort of cooperation. Now, the fact of the matter is that the largest pharmaceutical industries in the world are in India. India has them, and in produce of pharmaceuticals. And right now, if you see the controversies, huge fights in this within the European Union with Britain about whether at all they should have exported, whether at all they should help others. We've helped about 30 countries and to meet their needs, and in many cases, in the case of developing countries, the vaccines have been sent free of cost. Yes, now for the next few months we are going to be very largely focused on our own needs, but the international cooperation goes. And you know what happened in that Quad meeting of bringing together Australia, India, Japan and the US for pharmaceutical industries, the requirements now, immediate requirements now of vaccines to meet the pandemic and its follow-up is going to be a path breaker, because we are now talking of dealing together with 3 other countries who are major powers to provide pharmaceuticals for suffering people across the world for the future. And what happens after the present strands of the coronavirus are dealt with remains to be seen. So we have to be on our guard, and I think a lot of futuristic planning, way ahead of what any other grouping. As I said, within Europe they are arguing with each other about how much should have been sent, to whom it should have been sent, were they at all right, who did it, nothing of that sort. Yes. We went and did what we had to do, and now we're cooperating with 3 other major powers to benefit the world at large. That is the message of what's happening.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us with all your insights on this.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.